Hi, welcome to the final video for this week. I hope you've had the chance to take a look at that Pepsi Generation link I left you guys. If you haven't, go ahead and pause this, go take a look, and come back. This will make more sense if you've seen the text. So for this sample, I wanted to look at a commercial. You won't have the chance to really look a lot at commercials, but I think this will really help you see the rhetorical appeals in action before you start applying them to the article that you've chosen for the discussion. So the sample text is again Michael Jackson's Pepsi Generation advertisement. This advertisement comes from about 1986. And as a fun piece of trivia, yes, that is young Carlton from Fresh Prince playing the kid in that kind of lead role there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the three appeals. The first appeal that I want to look at is an appeal to ethos. We can start getting into ethos if we're looking at Soapstone, kind of pulling that in as well, which you will need to do for the discussion. We can start looking at ethos by really focusing in on the speaker or speakers, the people who are selling this. So in the case of the Michael Jackson commercial, the most obvious thing is this is being sold by a famous performer, Michael Jackson. It's using a really, really famous song by that performer, Billie Jean, but changing the lyrics to start pulling you into the advertisement. So really the biggest appeal we have to ethos or credibility is going to be you like Michael Jackson, so you will like this product as well. There's also an element of what I like to call the type of person who appeal. So if you are if you're drinking Pepsi, you become the type of person who identifies with this product and the message being given in the commercial. The lyric that I think is really interesting for ethos in this commercial, there are a few of them, but he says, "You're a whole new generation." He also says, very specifically, "You're the Pepsi generation." So in this commercial, it's not only appealing to the credibility of this musician who's selling the product, but it's also appealing to the kind of person that you as a viewer want to be or identify with. Right? He's talking to a specific generation, and he's saying that part of being part of that generation is drinking Pepsi products. So that kind of starts pulling you into a different kind of group identity than we've really looked at or talked about too much. It's a group identity that really affiliates with a specific brand. Part of the three appeals is going to be pathos, the appeal to emotion. Now, we didn't see a lot of sadness in this commercial, right? We saw people having fun, being happy. We saw the people dancing. The kids were thrilled when Michael Jackson came out. And the lyrics in the song really start pulling us, kind of directing our emotions and our feelings as well. So one of the lyrics that I think is just the best for the overt pathos is "Taste the thrill of the day." And then I don't remember if he says it directly after, that's how I've written it, but at some point he also says, "Feel the Pepsi way," right? So he's even assigning a specific type of emotion to this product. He's saying you'll be thrilled, you'll have this happy feeling, you'll be feeling the way Pepsi makes you feel. In a way you don't even need to go beyond that for that emotional appeal, because there's an assumption that there is a Pepsi way of feeling. So we've got that appeal to pathos in the lyrics that corresponds to all the dancing and happiness and "oh yay, Michael Jackson is here" kind of feelings that we get in the song or in the commercial. Finally, we come to logos. Now, I don't know about you guys, I didn't see a ton of logos. And I've believe me, I've looked for it a lot. I've used this commercial for many years. There's a reason for that. In this particular text, the Michael Jackson text, and you'll see this in a lot of advertising, they didn't really need logos to persuade us. Adding logos would probably actually weaken the argument that they're making to try to get us to buy the product. They might have been able to say something like, "Oh, we did a taste test." That taste test would have just kind of broken the spell of Michael Jackson dancing and singing. So there's not a lot of reason or logic that we can see in that advertisement. And I really would argue that putting logos in right here would kind of break that whole feel good happy appeal that you get in this particular advertisement. So part of the reason I like to use this as a sample is to have you think about that for the text that you're analyzing. If you're missing an appeal, why are you missing an appeal? Is there something that would ruin the sway of emotion with using logic? Would using emotion break the flow of the logic? So those are usually the two that you might see, one being really prominent and the other not being there, being really weak. Ethos tends to be a little less common to see weakened, although sometimes you may just not see a ton of speaker to explore. But definitely think about those three things. Now, eventually, what you're going to need to do in the next paper is pull all of these analyses together that you're looking at. So I would say if I were doing an advertisement of this commercial, the Pepsi advertisement, Pepsi Generation, this Pepsi advertisement, effectively appeals to its target audience. So again, here we're using Soapstone to think about the purpose and the audience. I would say that the audience here is primarily children, because that's who we're really seeing out dancing and kind of being the everyman figure. It's also because the appeal is saying you're a whole new generation. I would say that he's targeting, that the advertisers, Michael Jackson, are targeting a much younger audience. So it effectively appeals to its target audience, children, maybe young adults, through appeals to ethos and pathos. And we've already said there's not a lot of logos there. So we've got those two main appeals. Part of understanding these appeals and whether or not they're used effectively is understanding the purpose of the piece. Once we've got all that, we can also start thinking about things like, does the tone work for the audience and purpose? If this were done on a different occasion, would it be more or less effective? So all of these things, Soapstone and the rhetorical triangle, really all come together to help you build a much stronger picture of the text that you're looking at. So have fun applying these three appeals to your article. I have to say, I think this is probably one of the funnest things that you can do with analyzing a text, is just seeing the moves that they've made to pull an audience in and convince them. So I hope you enjoy that. I encourage you to start applying this to other situations in your life. If you see an advertisement, if you hear an argument being made, just because it can be really fun to figure out how all that comes together. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the discussion boards.